So at this point, we're gonna go to Ask an Executive, our segment on this show where you have the opportunity to ask us questions on or off topic. A lot of times, people don't have the opportunity to have access to higher ups in the police department, retired inspector myself, retired deputy chief, and Rob. So I got to scroll all the way back to 546 and get that first question that was up. So let's see if I can. We had a lot of conversation today. I love it, people. We love the engagement. We appreciate the engagement. It's taken me a bit to get up here.
No, you had our bad too at 1741.
1741 before?
Yeah, that was 1999 to the podcast. Yeah.
Super sticker. Hi, execs. Quick cue. I've been retired for a while, not NYPD, the smelliest side of the tunnels, LOL. I'm going to say that's Jersey. And noticing much facial hair. I feel it looks unprofessional and poses issues with SCBA and respirators. He corrected it to something else in a little while. Fit and seal. What's our opinions on that? There's two sides to that. There's the safety issue with your equipment that Rob you can speak to, and then there's the professional look. And I agree. I shaved for over 30 years every day, and I'm not a fan of shaving every day. And but I did it. I think it is a professional look. And Rob, if you want to touch on the second half of that.
Yeah, no. Again, Arbet, thank you for your contributions today. Appreciate it. But 100%. When I was in charge of SOD and any issue, absolutely. You have to put on self-contained breathing apparatus. Especially in hazmat jobs. We responded to weapons of mass destruction jobs, suspicious powders. So you're getting in the C suit, which is basically the self-contained breathing apparatus, or it could be a respirator. So yeah, that fit and seal. What you don't see firemen with beards, right? There's a reason, because it breaks the seal, and that's what you don't want. Sometimes with the self-contained breathing apparatus, it has positive pressure, so it's always blowing air out. But particularly when you're using a respirator and you have a filter on the front, you're drawing air in. So if there's a seal's broken, yeah, you're going to draw in something, especially on a hazmat job. Especially suspicious powder. It could be anthrax. You don't want an inhalation hazard. So 100%, I don't believe beards should be at all acceptable within a department. I don't know if it'll ever go back. Obviously there are medical exemptions. I remember a lot of the black officers would get bumps, and they were granted exemptions.
Everybody gets that now. It's amazing.
Now the problem is
that's a skin condition that is specifically for people of color.
Right.
But all of a sudden, you saw the Irish guys with the bumps letter. Anybody can get a doctor to write a letter.
And somebody found something in the Bible that Jesus
Leviticus
said, okay, don't shave. So that was that became a religion. But I totally disagree with it. I think it's totally I agree 100% we are bad. It's unprofessional. It doesn't look good. And again, like Ron said, I shaved for 35 years, and I'm still not today too much, but I still shave. And no, do I like shaving? Absolutely not. But that was part of the job. That was one of the requirements of the job, and I did it. So,
yep. All right, Sleepy Joe for Ask Executive later. Who determines when to dismiss a detail? What factors go into that decision? So the person that determines who dismisses a detail is going to be the incident commander, which is whoever the chief is that's running the detail, or it could be a precinct commander if it's a precinct level detail, whatever the case. And what factors go into that decision? Is everything done? Is everything over with? Is it safe? Do we need to keep a smaller part of the detail together for safety purposes, or is it time to go?
And I'll add one thing into that. there's a notification called down to operations, because operations has to make sure that there's nothing else going anywhere else in the city, that they could use you as, use that detail as maybe a force multiplier somewhere else, or as a response to that. So that's also part of the decision on, who decides to dismiss the detail.
And that's legit, people, because one time I was the CO of the 110 precinct, and we had a ton of details in the Flushing Meadows Corona Park. And one time I released a detail because it was over. There was a festival, and I didn't call it in. And then somebody's like, "Oh, you got to call the community affairs. Like, we have to call it in." I'm like, "All right, I got to call it in." And they wanted to redeploy our people to something that was going on in the Bronx, and I didn't have any people to redeploy. Luckily, I knew the executive that was working at the operations that day, and they let it slide. But from that point on, I learned that that's a legit notification that has to get made. You have any other timestamped ones prior to going to the end now?
No, yeah, because Arbad, I think, also asked at 7:12 about the elevator keys, which they can answer that right off the bat. Yes, absolutely. ESU has them. A lot of the cops, especially in Manhattan, keep them on their duty belts so that they can use the elevator key to call the elevator down to their floor, and then they can use it to go to whatever floor they need to go. Just so similar to the fire department. Absolutely, they definitely have them. They absolutely are handy tools.
All right. Now let's see if I can catch up towards the end. Questions that came in at the end. Hardcore saying, my wife's asking me again, "What are you doing?" She can't believe how long I'm watching this. I can't believe how long we're still doing this. 2 hours and 30 minutes into it, people, 31 minutes. We really appreciate your stamina for staying with us and staying engaged. We need the man on post perspective segment. I'm not sure what that is. And then Class of 8311, thank you very much. Great show. Appreciate it. Appreciate your support. You're always here. You're always in the comments. I appreciate that. Watch this all day. TC wants to know, what the hell are gross mutton chops? TC, that's the gross mutton chops. It's the big old 1970s sideburns.
Come down like this, yeah.
All the way down to the front. And then Hardcore's German, so he only has to shave once a week. I wish.
I think that's still in the patrol guide, right? The gross mutton chops. That's crazy.
Phil stopped shaving the day he retired. I tried. Wife doesn't let it. Question one. Pat. I have no idea what you're talking about, Pat. All right, Simply E. How common is it for a retiring chief of department to not get a walkout after decades on the job? Why do you think it didn't happen here? It is highly unusual. I don't know why it didn't happen. I know why he says it didn't happen. I did watch.
Why did he say?
I watched his interview on Sid Rosenberg. The day he retired, he went on Sid Rosenberg with his wife and did an interview. And he said that he went to the police commissioner and requested not to have one, that he wanted to just leave quietly, supposedly, leave quietly in the night. And he requested not to have one.
I thought it was because he had an ankle injury and he couldn't do a walkout because he had a bum ankle.
He didn't want to do a limp out?
He didn't want to do a limp out. He didn't want to go out on crutches.
Marlon from the Finest Unfiltered family. Should patrol be trained to use a ballistic shield? That's you, big guy.
Yeah, I tell you, I mean, it's not a bad idea, but when we talk about using a ballistic shield, we also talk about, shooting with a ballistic shield in your hand and using one-handed supported for your gun, and maintaining that ballistic shield in the right area so that you're protecting yourself while you still put your gun out there, and also you don't forget now your gun's kind of leading you, so you have to be very careful that someone just doesn't grab that gun out of you if you make a wrong turn on a corner. I mean, there's a lot of training that needs to be done with that, but I mean, could it help? It could be used at like the front door instead of that, maybe, bring it up. But I think, I don't know. It's a hard question. It definitely would be a beneficial tool, and it could help, those officers if you tie off a door and you put a shield up. But I don't think they should be taking over ESU's job either. So,
And you have
it's a tough question. So,
and SRG, are they trained? I know that
ballistic shields, no, they're trained in heavy weapons,
but not ballistic
but
shields.
not ballistic shields. I think narcotics uses some shields.
When we're doing search warrants, I was in the car.
Right. Yeah.
We have search warrants. We don't have them out on patrol.
Right. No, that's what I'm
we
saying.
We did our own entries with the search warrants.
Yeah.
All right, Lily wants to know what SCBA is. It's a self-contained breathing apparatus. It's like a mask that you put over that has a seal so that it's self-contained and you're breathing fresh air from the tank on your back. It's the same thing as a scuba diver has. And that scuba is self-contained underwater breathing apparatus. That's what scuba stands for. Phil says that Hardcore's wife is funny. Good thing you didn't say she's funny looking because we're politically correct here. I don't want my mom yelling at you anymore, Rob.
No, me and Hardcore X both got yelled at.
That's right. I'll go get yelled at too. And then TC set the razor down. Italian. All right, here. I think Pat's fixing his questions. We answered this already, Pat. We don't know if the firearm was legal. We do know that they have an open carry, but he wasn't open carrying. It was in his hoodie pocket. Did he have any prior criminal history? None that was listed in the article that I read, and none that was stated during the chief's initial press conference. So I didn't do it. And of course, she's not going to revise her statement. RDV prefers no beards.
That's true, though. You never see baseball players wearing the beards, right? I think one or two, but most of them don't.
Yeah. Hey, Sleepy Joe, I beat you to it, big guy. Social media Viagra for Ron and Rob.
Oh, boy. We buy the generic brand, though. Save money.
Why do cops say my personal vehicle is my car? Too hard to pronounce.
It's true, though.
Just a cultural thing, I guess,
Yeah.
Talk about your personal vehicle versus your RMP, your Radio Motor Patrol. Let's see. Michael Enriquez from LinkedIn. Appreciate you watching on LinkedIn. Jump over to YouTube next time. Anytime I had to put the bag on, I shaved. It presents a professional bearing. Agreed.
100%, brother.
100%. Mo showing up. Mo.
Hey.
Welcome to the show, Mo. Of course, you get your shout out. We were looking for you in the early afternoon. Usually you throw a chat up there before the show even gets right after it gets posted. Welcome to the show, Mo. Make sure you watch it back on the repeat. Phil the Heated Guy, my first detail, Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. His boss looked at the watch and said, according to my watch, it's 15:35. You're in the tour. Don't get involved in anything and have a happy Thanksgiving. And it was probably about 11:45 when he said that.
I would hope so. Made it home before your end of tour.
All right. So, Pat, I think it's more of a serious question. As an executive at the scene of a high-profile unit, how do you navigate getting info from? I think Patty is indulging, and his texts are a little off today. But if I'm going to guess what that question is, Pat, did you correct it? Is if we were at a high-profile incident, how do we navigate getting information from people? Listen, you got to you got to know who to get the information from. It's difficult. You got to have a point. You really want to designate a point person, and have a good scribe with you. Have somebody next to you with a pen and pad that's taking down all the information so you don't miss out on something. Anything else on that one?
So I always go to the highest ranking officer there when I got there, and just ask what's going on. And then if they didn't have the answers, then you work your way down the chain, right? So where's the lieutenant? If you already also spoke to the captain, lieutenant, sergeant, and you get that information. And then I usually had, my driver was with me. I would have him go and ask, find out what's going on, information that might not have been available. But you gotta interrupt, and you gotta get those questions out, and then you gotta ask if the captain, if I was there and there was an inspector there or a captain there and they'd have the answers, I said, well, get me the answers then. I want to know. And that's pretty much how you had to be, right on it. So,
yeah. Phil on fire again. When did they start with the walkouts? I don't know.
I'm a big proponent against them anyway, but
I can't say anything because I had one.
Yeah, I didn't want one either, truthfully. I mean, and I'll say all the time, nobody clapped when I came into the job. When I walked into the Manhattan Community College on my first day, nobody was there clapping, so I didn't want nobody clapping on the way out. So
it's funny. I had a walkout, and it hadn't snowed in 2 years. The morning of my walkout in February of last year, 7 inches of snow. So a lot of people couldn't attend, but a lot of good people did attend. Listen, and to me, I paid for my own walkout. I paid for my own food and everything else. It was a little luncheon to say goodbye. It was nice to get one location where people come to say goodbye. You get to talk to people and everything else. It's nice. People get up and talk about you or whatever. It's not disingenuous because there's nothing for them to gain by doing it. At that point, I can't do anything for you, right? But a lot of it was my peers and people I've come up through the job with. A lot of executives were there. It was nice to see a bunch of cops that came to see me that used to work for me too. I think that touched me more than some of the executives that I'm just like still friends with. So I wanted to have a little party, little luncheon, have a chance to say goodbye.
Did you pay for your luncheon?
I did. I paid out of my own pocket.
So that's why everybody came?
Yeah, no, there was no, the flyer that went around, there wasn't buying tickets and everything else. It wasn't a retirement party. My wife threw me a luncheon, but, that was for family and close friends. But, as far as the walkout, that I bought the lunch, I bought the food, and it was nice. Photographer came, nice pictures and everything else. Crazy 10-7. Where do executives find position postings for open spots?
I think at a certain point they were putting them on operations.
Yeah,
I remember it was like captain or DI for certain things. But truthfully, those positions are already filled. Yeah, they're just putting that out to say,
they're only putting that out for spots. They're putting it out for spots nobody wants.
We got 6 people calling, but we really want you. Yeah, okay, great. So it's already in the cards where who's getting that spot.
Right. By law, they have to post the position, right? Just like in the precinct, I'm putting up the sign every time I need somebody for conditions or anti-crime, but I know who I'm putting in, right? But it's the same thing with executives. They do put postings out in the operations orders or whatever. They do come down in operations orders, I think it is, for position vacancies. But like you said, they already know who they're taking for the most part. And if they're putting one out and don't know who they're taking, and they're actually bringing people in for actual interviews, you don't want it because nobody else wants it.
Yeah.
Simply, he says that he was afraid John and Eric would show up to his talking about shells.
I tell you,
instead of clapping. Listen, that's a ceremonious thing. The clapping.
They are lame though. But
listen, but the clapping and everything, that's for your family.
Wouldn't it be nice just to take out the guys that you work with just for dinner though?
But you do that too. But you do that too. You do
Yeah.
that too. But
I don't know.
the walkout is not just the walkout. It was the lunch that was really nice. With guys coming, you're seeing guys, some guys you haven't seen for a while. So it's a reason to bring people together that you haven't seen for a while on the job. And but also, Rob, to be honest with you, you know, your family's there, so your family gets to see the fanfare. Nobody could have been prouder than my mom. I'm
That's
the apple of her eye, and
uh,
my mom came in from out of state for it, and you know, uh, it's nice to see. I didn't get a helicopter fly over. You know,
you
they
should have
did the
called me.
lineup. I went into the old R&P. You go around the corner and you come right back. It's kind of silly,
Yeah.
but it's nice. It's nice, and like a lot of other things, like the pomp and circumstance for a funeral. It's for the family.
Yeah, well,
It's for
I
the
can tell
family.
you, 4 days after I retired, my family was telling me, "Please go back to work. We don't want you home anymore."
My wife is still telling me to get a job. Phil again. Phil, we got to stop using your questions here, big guy. Does anyone remember the ballistic clipboards? They were
Oh
stolen by
yeah.
MOS in the first week.
I don't think I ever saw one. I heard about it. They were coming out, but yeah, everybody took them home. They're probably still out there.
All right. Yes, Pat, I have heard about them. And like I just said, I did not have aviation. And it wasn't because of the weather, because by time my walkout happened, the sun was out, the snow had melted. It was one of those crazy days. Aviation could have went up. I didn't have aviation scheduled for a flyover, and I didn't have a final EOT transmission.
Not the final EOT transmission really never took off. I remember that the other agencies you would see it all the time, and I heard a few here. I think Joe Resnick did one on citywide. I don't know. It was on a special operations division radio, but yeah.
And provide SOD insight on the request for aviation flyovers at walkouts. Is there a rank threshold? I don't know.
Well, there isn't really. But when I was there, it depended on the weather and who asked for it. And we kind of didn't say, oh, because you're a police officer doing a walkout, we're not giving it to you. No, it depended on obviously the needs of the department, how many helicopters we had up, how many hours we had on the helicopter, whether or not we needed to go in for service. Because there were times when we had 2 or 3 helicopters down because they were get required service, and to put more airtime on one of the helicopters would put them closer to that maintenance schedule. So you had to do it appropriately so that everything was done so that helicopters for patrol and air sea rescue. So I remember when we were allowed to at certain times, you could give a helicopter for anybody to walk out. So it was not unheard of. Depending on who called. If a police
Yeah.
officer called up and says, "I want a helicopter," for my walkout, we'd be like, "Yeah, no, you got to get somebody, somebody from your commander, CO, or somebody to call and ask." So
Yeah, I knew the XO at aviation at the time, and one of my lieutenants was doing a walkout, Stephen McDonald, and he got actually quick aside story. So my lieutenant, my midnight platoon commander is retiring, really nice guy. Stephen McDonald's old partner from Central Park. Stephen McDonald was at the walkout, and I called up and I got him to fly over, right? And
mhm.
basically, it's just they're out on patrol, right? Because you weren't allowed to have it, especially for a lieutenant. So they do the flyover. It's nice. The family's there. Blah blah blah. He goes off into the sunset. Steve McDonald goes down to an event at 1PP with Ray Kelly. Tells him how nice the walkout was for his old partner. They had an aviation flyover and everything else. What? Aviation
Yeah,
flyover? The lieutenant got a rip at aviation for doing it. So
yeah.
it's
Well, we
something.
used to. We used to. I'm not giving away special secrets here, but aviation did do directed patrol on
Right.
certain crime areas. So if they flew over something, they flew over it.
And hardcore mine was small. It was at PSA 9 in Queens. at the Pominock PSA 9. So it was small. And no, we didn't order people from all the PSAs to attend to have it. It wasn't like that. Let's see. Jack wants to know, always, right on top of important questions, what was the menu at Ron's luncheon? I had the hero and I had the hot buffet.
Well, so you're saying you were the hero?
No, not at all. Not at all. My mom was the hero because you want to laugh.
Whoa! I'm not going against your mom, no matter what you say. All right,
my mom came in from out of state, and the day after my walkout, we all had COVID except my mom. Somehow my mom didn't catch it. Everybody else in my car caught COVID. So you got to laugh. So mom was the hero.
I went to Whedon's walkout. I went to Whedon's walkout and caught COVID. So obviously walkouts lead to COVID.
You've just watched a clip from our live episode. Click the description to watch the full episode. Like, share, and subscribe for more videos just like this.